Red Sox fans have long...
Looking for a casual baseball podcast to listen to? Well, Baseball with the Bard, presented by Clovercrest Media, has just what you're looking for. Tyler Bard and Noah Cross cover a wide range of happenings in the MLB and then dive into a deep focus on the Red Sox and Yankees. Join us every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for your weekly dose of Baseball with the Bard.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R and J. I am Steve Risser along with Justin D'Onofrio. And it was a sad day yesterday in the sports world. Obviously, yesterday, Tiger Woods got into a major car accident, one car crash. His car was turned sideways. It was just an awful, awful, awful thing. He had to be rushed. He had to be taken to the hospital, obviously. He was taken to a Harvard UCLA Medical Center with injuries to his lower right leg and ankle. And right now he's recovering from surgery on his leg. But the big thing is that he's okay. And because when I saw that, when I saw that car flipped over sideways, I thought the worst. I thought the worst might happen, and we might have lost him yesterday. I thought the worst might have happened when we saw that. So I am just so relieved that this was bad. But it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. But still, just another turn in Tiger Woods' life. As we remember, he got in that big car accident in 2009. Then his career kind of went downhill a little bit. And then we obviously remember the DUI in 2017. But then remember how he came back and won that Masters in 2019. And that's one of the greatest sports moments we've seen in the last decade. Him winning that Masters. I mean, that was one of the best sports moments we've ever seen. But another turn for Tiger Woods as he was driving to a photo shoot with Justin Herbert and Drew Brees. He got into this awful accident, and it's just surreal because remember 2 days ago he was talking to Jim Nantz about playing in the Masters. Now there's a great chance that forget about golf. I mean, I think we've all accepted the fact his golf career is probably over. We just hope that he's going to still be able to walk, be able to play with his kids, and be able to function as a normal human being. That's what we're worried about now. I'm not worried. I've accepted now his golf career is over. That's the least important thing at this point. We just got to worry about his recovery and his safety, and hopefully he'll be able to walk again and be able to play with his kids again. So that to me, that's my biggest concern. At this point, I've accepted that his golf career is over.
Yeah, it too, probably, more than like, because he was just recovering from back surgery too still, so he just had that done. I'm with you. When I saw that wreck, I thought the worst too. That thing was that, you just saw the picture of it and it was like, oh boy, it did not look good. And then you kept hearing too, they came like, oh, they did do the jaws of life. No, they didn't. Yes, they did. But yeah, it was just very unfortunate to see that happen. I guess in that area too, what the deputy was saying, it sounds like a lot of people do 80 in a 45-mile-per-hour zone. Because I guess even the Good Samaritan that tried to help him, that person's car got hit too while trying to help Tiger. So, it seems like it was a dangerous area. But yeah, one of the best golfers. He really put golf on the map for for people in the U.S. He really grew the sport of golf and, for the game. And yeah, it's unfortunate, that Masters in 2019 when he won, it was unbelievable. Nobody saw that coming. One of the few days where I was actually just strictly tuned into golf. There's not too many times when that happens, but I was that day. It was really remarkable. But yeah, you hope just that he can't walk in, he can't play with his kids, or function and just be able to walk. Unfortunately the golf's career is over for him. But yeah, you just hope that he kind of get back to somewhat normality, just walking or just the kids, maybe just I don't know, trying to just for fun playing around a golf maybe. But you just hope that he's gonna end up being okay, but it's at least again, we're not gonna lose him right now.
And obviously that was the biggest fear yesterday when you heard the story, you saw the story flash. You were in shock. It shocked everyone in the sports world. And you've heard so many comments from Steph Curry, from other golfers. Justin Thomas, I think, made a comment yesterday. You heard it from pretty much the entire golf community. Phil Mickelson, you saw his tweets. Jack Nicklaus, you saw a ton of people's tweets. It was just the support he had throughout the golf community. It just shows you how iconic this guy is. I mean, just how he's more than a golfer. He's an American icon. He is one of the, outside maybe LeBron James, Tom Brady, and it's probably him. He's probably top 3 in terms of popularity of he's probably one of the most popular athletes in America, top 3 between LeBron and Tom Brady. Everybody knows who Tiger Woods is. Even if you don't follow golf, you know who Tiger Woods is. So this is just such a tragic thing that happened. And it's just, I mean, it's awful that we've probably seen the last of him on the golf course, but we're really, really happy that he is surviving right now.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, he's definitely one of the top American icons of all time. Just the way he grew the game of golf and just, again, just grew it for everybody that wanted to get into golf. And, then he was such a huge advocate of, how the sport grew, in this country. And so, yeah, he's way up there. But, we're all happy that he's going to survive. And again, the worst of it, the worst fear for everybody is he's going to be with us still. So it was totally unfortunate, but I definitely probably put him top 3 American icons right now, but just with all the good he's done for the game of golf for all the years.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's done a ton of good for the golf. He's been pretty much he's the guy in golf too. I mean, he put golf on the map. I mean, if there's a big tournament and Tiger's in it on a Sunday, everyone's watching. If he's not, people are probably not watching. So he is just so huge to the game of golf. And we're no doctors. We really can't speculate on what's going to happen with the injury. I've heard, I think the biggest issue is when he's had surgery, you don't want the knee to be infected. I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a medical expert of any means, but, you just don't want any infection with the knee. You just hope that there's no infection or anything. And he's just able to, have recover from this. I mean, as Obama tweeted, don't ever count Tiger out. That's why I'm never counting out a return. But I think, obviously, a return is less than likely. But it's clearly it is the last thing. Clearly the least important thing right now is a return to the golf course. That shouldn't even be on anybody who's doing shows, anything that should be the last thing that should be discussed is a return to the golf course. The number one thing that should be discussed is that he's okay, because I know this is an American golfer, but this also is a human being, and like all of us. And that could have had what happened yesterday could have happened to any of us. So we're just happy that he's okay. Getting on the golf course right now is so is so low on the it's just such a low priority right now compared to his health and his safety right now. The golf course right now. Really, him getting back on the golf course doesn't matter. His health and safety would matter much more.
Yeah, it summed up perfectly. It definitely, none of us should be worried if we ever watch him on a golf course ever again. It's that he's healthy, that he's okay. That nothing gets infected. Hopefully, we're not doctors. Like something like that happened to Alex Smith. You don't want to see that happen to Tiger. I know Alex Smith got through it and he's back on the field, but you definitely right now you don't want to speculate on when he's going to come back or anything. It's just can he get healthy? Can he walk? When will he be able to walk again? When's he going to be able to kind of return to some normal life for him? It's kind of what we all should be worried about right now.
Yeah, and obviously I like that you brought up Alex Smith, because they're not comparable, but they're kind of similar situations, with their both their injuries and getting back on the golf course. But I mean, obviously, that's a story for another day. Will he, say he could, and a lot of people have said, maybe he should reach out to Alex Smith, tell him how did he go through this, how did he end up going through this? But to me, it's just all about, is he going to be able? The first step is he going to be able to be, is he going to be able to walk again, be able to, play with his kids again? That's the first step for me. I'm not worried at all. And I know I've said this a couple of times. I'm not worried at all about him getting back on the golf course.
Yeah. Same here. I just obviously wanting to see him walk again. And definitely be a good thing maybe if he does kind of reach out to Alex Smith. Obviously it is different situations. Smith took a hit, took a hit in the game. Tiger with a car accident, but again, they both kind of went through, dramatic, some bad leg injuries. So just for now, just hopefully, focus on getting back and again, just walking is like the first step for him right now. And golf is way down there in the totem pole for him.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, we'll see how this story unfolds, and there's going to be a lot to the story, but we'll see how it ends up unfolding. But we got to move on to the NFL. Before we get to the big trade that happened last week, we're going to talk about Big Ben and Steelers owner Art Rooney II said that he's expecting Big Ben to be back. He's expecting Big Ben to be back this year. They expect him to be back. His cap hit is huge, $41 million right now for a player that really regressed in the second half of the season. I think for the Steelers, for Big Ben, it comes down to two things. You either restructure your deal or you're going to have to retire. Because if he doesn't restructure his deal, I wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers cut him. Because if he cuts or retires, it's only a $22 million cap hit. The Steelers will save $19 million in cap space if they cut Big Ben or release him. So it's either release him or he's going to have to restructure his deal.
Yeah, and it sounds like he's I think it was his agent that said, he's all in to restructure the contract. I think I saw, a little bit ago. So, we'll see how much, because again, because they came out too last week. The salary cap can drop from $210 million to $180 million. And I think the Steelers were right up there against the cap as well. So it's one of those things too, where it's like, you gotta move $30 million of cap. And, as well as trying to restructure. It's going to be a weird year for a lot of teams in trying to figure this out. But yeah, can't you kind of say he took like a regression like we've seen, we saw like with Peyton Manning, just with the arm strength last year. He kind of looked like in the second half, unfortunately, kind of had that, because, he showed in the second half with the arm straight. It was a lot of dink and donks like we saw in the final few years of Peyton Manning.
Yeah, it was a lot of crossing routes. And once teams figured out what the Steelers were doing, they went downhill at the end of the year. I mean, they started out 11-0. They lost, 5 of their last 6 games to end the season. So, yeah, once teams figured out what the Steelers were doing, you saw they lost to Washington at home, they lost to the Bengals, and they got beat pretty good in that playoff game to the Browns. So, yeah, once teams figured out what they were doing, they pretty much were able to, figure out the Steelers' offense, and Big Ben struggled. And my mistake, Art Rooney II, that's the team president, not the team owner. Dan Rooney's the team owner. But still, it's just, they expect him back, but it's pretty much down to two things: restructure or retire for Big Ben.
Yeah, definitely. I think at the end, though, they will definitely they'll get a deal done to restructure his contract, and I think he'll be back. Probably, and this would probably be the final year of Big Ben. But yeah, all indications sounds like he'll be back with Pittsburgh, and you never know what could happen, but I think we'll see him in the Pittsburgh Steelers uniform next year.
This will be the last. It'll be the last year we see him in a Steelers uniform, but I do think he comes back.
Yeah, I'm with you. I be a bit surprised if we did not see him. They didn't fix. They didn't sell his contract.
No. I think he's back, but I don't think the Steelers. I think personally, the Steelers should move on. But if they get him for the right price and they're able to re-sign a Juju Smith-Schuster and a Bud Dupree, it makes some sense to keep him, because you don't know what you're getting at the position if you get rid of him. Because Dwayne Haskins could be worse. If you trade for Sam Darnold, he could be worse. So you don't know what you're getting at the position. If you have a good defense and a solid running game, maybe Big Ben can manage you games. I just don't think right now he's good enough to win you a Super Bowl, in my opinion. But we'll see if the running game improves and they stay healthy on defense. Maybe they have a shot, because they did start 11-0 this season.
Yeah, and going 11-0, I don't care what their schedule was. I know it wasn't the hardest schedule, but still, going 11-0 is really difficult to do. And there's only been a handful of teams that have done it. So yeah, if they can, upgrade the line, get a running game, re-sign Smith-Schuster and Bud Dupree, then I could see Big Ben just kind of having to be a game manager again. It's a very tough AFC North, but I could see him right there contending the playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, the Steelers have not been worse than 8-8 since 2003 when they were 6-10. So pretty much 17 years in a row, they've had at least 8 wins. That's pretty amazing. And even if they do bring Big Ben back next year, I still think they're going to be an 8-win team.
Yeah, I'm with you. With that defense, even if you lose Bud Dupree, that defense is still pretty good. I think their defense would seal them some wins. I definitely think they finish over 500 once again.
Absolutely. So we got to get to the big trade in the league last week as the Eagles traded Carson Wentz to the Colts for a third-round pick this year and a second-round pick in 2022, which could turn into a first-round pick if the Colts I think if the Colts make the playoffs or Carson Wentz plays, I think 70 or 75% of the snaps. But I really like this trade for the Colts, and here's why. I think, obviously, the Frank Wright thing. I wrote an article about this, the Frank Wright thing, where he was the offensive coordinator of the Colts in 2017. When of the Eagles in 2017, when Carson Wentz had his best season. I think him and Frank Wright are a good match. I think the offensive line, I'm not the biggest O-line guy, as you know, but it is still as important, and I think this is a really good offensive line and a much better offensive line than he had with the Eagles last year. As you saw, the Eagles had Lane Johnson out for most of the year, and they had Brandon Brooks out for the entire season. So I think he has a much better offensive line. He has a better running game with Jonathan Taylor. Jonathan Taylor was third in the NFL in rushing yards this year. The receivers, there's a little bit of the question mark. They don't have a true number one, but I feel like Michael Pittman Jr., who didn't loan Carson Wentz, who didn't give his jersey number away to Carson Wentz, I think he can emerge as the number one receiver, and we'll see what the Colts do with T.Y. Hilton. And obviously on the defensive side of the ball, this is a top 10 defense. This is a great front seven with DeForest Buckner, Justin Houston, and the best linebacker in football. And I hope Jason's hearing this because he is Darius Leonard. So they have the best linebacker in football too, and a pretty good secondary because Xavier Rhodes had a pretty good year too. So top 10 defense, good offensive line, good running game. I think this is a recipe for Carson Wentz to have success. In my opinion, I think they're the best team in the AFC and in the AFC South, and I think they're Super Bowl contenders in the AFC. I don't think they're as good as the Bills or the Chiefs or even the Ravens, but I do think they're Super Bowl contenders in the AFC with this move because this is an upgrade over Jacoby Brissett and an upgrade over Phillip Rivers, in my opinion. But Justin, I got a couple questions for you. Will the Colts remain a playoff team by making this trade?
I think they will. Carson Wentz, I think for him, he really just has to come in here and be a game manager. You just talked about it. They have a top 10 defense. They have a good running game. They have some good weapons. I think as long as he just comes in here and manages the game. And they also the Colts, the second fewest sacks in the league. So as long as he doesn't turn the ball over, he doesn't make a ton of mistakes, they should have 10 they should have double-digit wins. I saw they have the ninth highest odds to win the AFC, which I thought was kind of low, but
who was ahead of them? I would say all right. Here's the teams I would think would be ahead of them. I would say obviously the Chiefs and the Bills, probably the Dolphins, right?
Yep.
Dolphins, Browns, yes.
Yep.
Ravens, yes.
Yep.
Steelers, yes.
Yep.
That's 6. Titans, yes.
They're tied. Yeah. Yes. Titans.
That would be
Chargers.
7.
They were tied with the Chargers.
Oh, tied with the Chargers. That makes sense though because I mean I don't think I think they're a better team than the Chargers, obviously, but it does make some sense because of Justin Herbert. But so you say 9th, they're odds to win the AFC. Yeah. I think I'd say in my opinion they're 4th. I put the Ravens, I put the Chiefs, and I would put and obviously I put the Bills ahead of them.
Yeah, because it was because their win projection went from 9.4 before Carson went down. It's at 9.7. So it's like Vegas doesn't really, they don't really think this moves a needle much.
I think here's the thing about this move. The Colts have averaged 9 wins a year the last 2 years with having below average quarterback play. This could be the best quarterback they've had. So I think this could be an 11, 12 win team with Carson Wentz. Now, am I saying they're the best team in the AFC? No, but I think it could be an 11, 12 win team with Carson Wentz. In my opinion, I think a lot of Wentz's struggles were because the Eagles' offensive line was terrible. He didn't have any weapons in the passing game. Zach Ertz had his worst season last year. He was on and off the field. The Eagles, the receiving core was absolutely terrible. Miles Sanders was clearly their best offensive weapon. So yes, he didn't play well, but I think what was around him in Philadelphia, I think really led to Carson Wentz not playing well. Now, am I saying Carson Wentz is a great quarterback? No, but I think with the right pieces around him, I think he could succeed, and he proved that in 2017.
Yeah, I think he can. I'm worried that he's just too broken that even Frank Wright can't even fix him at this point. That's what I'm worried about. And then I think I mentioned a couple weeks ago when we were still talking about it. It was an Eagles reporter saying he's uncoachable. So again, maybe getting Frank right back, maybe they have a better relationship because it came out that him and Doug Peterson didn't talk for like the final 10 weeks of the season. So who knows? But it's definitely an upgrade over Jacoby Brissett or Phillip Rivers right now. So it's like I could see this move really panning out for the Colts. I really could see it where it's just, I could see them getting 10-9 wins. It just being kind of mediocre. It's really one of these cases where it could be a great move or it could be a flop.
So two questions I'll ask you. Are they the best team in the AFC South? Because I think they are. Because I think their defense is better than the Titans. And I think with the combination of Wentz and Frank Wright being together, I think that's better than Ryan Tannehill at quarterback.
Yeah, and I think too. I think the Colts stay healthy too on defense. I think they could shut down the Titans offense. And who knows, again, the Titans really have to upgrade their defense. Who knows what they're going to do to fix that. But at the moment, I think the Colts would be the favorite. In the AFC South, I take them over the Titans right now. I just with their D, I think as long as Wentz manages the game, doesn't make mistakes, I think they're better than the Titans. I just don't trust Titans defense. At the moment, it's kind of the big thing. But I'd put them top of the AFC South right now.
Now the last question: are they a contender in the AFC in the overall in the AFC? You said how Vegas had them. It was Vegas, right? That had them projected for 9. Yeah. Are they a contender in the AFC with this move?
I
think they are. What do you think?
I think with their defense they can be, but I
think the bigger issue is they don't have a true number one, and they need Pittman to develop as that number one.
Yeah, and they need Paris Campbell to stay in the field because I like him. I liked him in college at Ohio State, but he hasn't been healthy in 2 years. So it's like you really haven't seen anything from him. Look, and 2, they should have beat the Bills on the road. They should have won that game.
They outplayed them. I mean, they ran the ball. They ran the ball really well. I mean, they definitely outplayed the Bills in that playoff game. They very easily could have beaten them on the road.
Yeah, and who knows? I know they beat the Chiefs last year, but I think Mahomes has hurt that game.
Yeah, I don't think they would have beaten. I don't think they would have beaten the Chiefs, but I think they could have beaten the Bills.
Yeah, I don't think they would have beat the Chiefs, but who knows? I think they can be. We saw what they did against the Bills last year. I think they could. Their defense could slow down the Ravens.
And I think, and the thing was when they beat the Chiefs 2 years ago, it was with Jacoby Brissett. Even though Mahomes is hurt, they have the formula to give Kansas City trouble because they could stop the run and they could run the ball on Kansas City.
Yeah, and they can get after the quarterback, as well. So I think I put them there as long as we get the Carson Wentz comes out and plays well. I think they can. I put them up there. I think they probably finish a 3 or 4 seed, I would think at this point. But I think they could. I think they could give the Chiefs a run for their money. We saw it with the Bills last year. So I'd put them up there. I think they can.
Absolutely. But now we're going to look at the Eagles side of this, and the Eagles side of this is it looks like Jalen Hurts is going to be the starting quarterback this year. They haven't committed to it, but I think a big reason for them getting rid of Carson Wentz is they want Jalen Hurts to be the starting quarterback. But I think personally, they completely screwed this thing up with Carson Wentz. Howie Roseman should not have a job. It is an embarrassment, in my opinion, that Howie Roseman is the general manager in this league, the way he screwed this up. Number one, I think it all started back in 2019 when they drafted Arcega-Whiteside over DK Metcalf, when they desperately needed when wide receiver was in need and they missed the pass on DK Metcalf. That was a huge miss right there. I mean, they got lucky that year that Wentz was able to carry them in a bad division and won a bad division. Then last year, he screwed this up completely. Drafting Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson was a horrendous pick. Absolutely terrible pick to take Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson. Then, which I think messed Carson Wentz up. I think this ultimately messed him up is when they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. When you pay your quarterback all that money, you cannot draft a quarterback in the second round on the second year of his deal. That makes no sense at all. The Jalen Hurts pick, it might eventually help the Eagles if he becomes their guy. But at the time, that Jalen Hurts pick made absolutely no sense. And I think that was the biggest thing, even bigger than him not playing in the Super Bowl. I think that was the biggest thing that messed with his head. The fact that they drafted Jalen Hurts in the second round. So I think Howie Roseman completely screwed this thing up and is completely to blame for this situation going the way it has.
Yeah, I was going to bring up the Jalen Hurts one. I think, it did. I think that was a turn. I think that was kind of a point where I think he lost total confidence in this organization and just, everything. Because, second year of a deal, you go out and get Jalen Hurts in the second round. It's kind of, and I know people said, well, look at Rodgers with Jordan Love, but I think Rodgers kind of has a, again, I don't know this personally, but again, Rodgers made, he's older. I think he was able to take it kind of with a chip on his shoulder. And I don't, maybe Carson Wentz just didn't seem like he was able to do that last year. But yeah, the Eagles really screwed this up. I heard that there's a really good chance. It sounds like they may be drafting another quarterback in the first round,
which would make them look like clowns because what direction are they going in? I mean, then the Jalen Hurts pick makes no sense at all. Because why would you take Jalen Hurts and then you're now going to take another quarterback? That just makes them look like total clowns. I mean, I like it because I hate the Eagles, but that would make them look like clowns if they take a quarterback, number 6 overall.
I heard there's a thought that it sounds like they're possibly looking at that. So, yeah, again, I know I don't understand what they're doing. Again, they're lucky that the NFC East right now is still kind of really up in the air.
Yeah, the thing is in any other division, they would have no shot because in the NFC East, there's no Bucks, there's no Packers, there's no Saints,
Rams.
There's no Seahawks, there's no Rams. Really, the NFC East probably doesn't have a team that's in the top half of the NFC. So they're lucky there. Because you look at the Cowboys, even if they franchise Dak, they're not going to have enough money to, improve that defense. That defense is still going to be below average. Washington doesn't have a quarterback. The Giants, let's be honest, they're the Giants. They've improved. They can win more than 6 games, but they've only done that one time in the last 7 years. So, the NFC East, that's the only shot they have to get to the playoffs is that the NFC East is absolutely terrible. But this organization has turned into a total dumpster fire. And now they got the largest cap hit in NFL history, $33.8 million. That's the largest dead cap hit in NFL history. So this organization has starting to turn. It's went down since this Super Bowl, and now it's outside of the Texans. They're becoming the laughing stock of the NFL. The Eagles are.
Oh, I know. To pay a quarterback, they take this hit, for your franchise quarterback to go play for another city. It's bad, and especially in a Philly especially a city that's so passionate about all their sport teams, Philadelphia fans are. I'm surprised there's not riots outside of Eagles State, Lincoln Financial, wanting Howie Roseman fired. I'm actually shocked about how passionate these fans are.
I know.
He should. Since that Super Bowl, it hasn't been the same. It's just they're lucky that the Texans are still a laughing stock because they would be the biggest laughing stock right now. The Texans weren't.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, just terrible decision making over the last. I mean, they're really since 2019. Them and the Texans have made the 2 worst decisions. If you recap what the Eagles have done since 2019, paying Carson Wentz all that money, which became a mistake because they ended up trading him 2 years later. Then they obviously miss on DK Metcalf, miss on Justin Jefferson, draft Jalen Hurts. I don't think that might not end up being a bad move, but when you're paying a quarterback all that money, it ends up being a bad move. So I just don't understand how Howie Roseman has a job. I don't.
I have an Eagles friend. He's been done with Howie too.
Yeah, he's got to be. I mean, you give him credit for what he did in 2017, but since then he's been absolutely terrible, and he needs to be fired.
Yeah. He struck magic in a bottle. With the way Bulls came in the playoffs, and what they did in that playoff run, and it's kind of like they struck magic in a bottle, and it's been downhill since.
And let's be honest, they were lucky that Belichick benched Malcolm Butler because there's no way they win that Super Bowl with Tom Brady having the game they had if Malcolm Butler doesn't get benched.
And that's still one of the craziest decisions that we probably will never hear about. Ever.
Yeah, you'll never hear about it because Belichick's won all those Super Bowls, so you'll never hear about any explanation of it. But still, that's the only reason the Eagles won that Super Bowl.
Yeah. We Nick Foles made him look like look like a Tom Brady out there.
Yeah, exactly.
They own Tom Brady. But
exactly.
Since that moment, it's been awful.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are going to move on to the NBA, and I think in a week from Sunday there's the All-Star game. But on Thursday they announced the All-Star starters. Yesterday they announced the reserves. First, we'll go over the Eastern Conference starters. The starters are Bradley Beal leading the NBA in scoring. Kyrie Irving, those are the two guards. That's the backcourt. Giannis and Durant, the two forwards, no surprise there. And then Embiid, the center. No surprise any of the starters. Yeah, maybe you have Harden start instead of Bradley Beal, but I think Beal earned it because he leads the NBA in scoring. So I got no complaints with any of the starters in the East.
No, me neither. I'm with you. Yeah, Harden's been playing great since he been in Brooklyn, but Bradley Beal, the lead scorer. I think Washington's not very good, but imagine without Bradley Beal how bad this team would be. So yeah, I'm fine with Bradley Beal starting.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We go over the starters in the Western Conference. We got let me see, Steph Curry, Luka Doncic as guards, LeBron and Kawhi as forwards, and then Jokic as the center. The only issue with the West is, and they're both great players, but a lot of people might go Lillard over Doncic, but that's just so hard to decide because they're both great players. I mean, you saw what Doncic did last night against the Celtics, hitting those two huge shots, hitting those two huge threes. So it's really close between the two. Oh, stop it. Stop. Oh, Jace, come on. Or Mitchell. Give me a break. Donovan Mitchell is not on. I got the best record, but come on. Donovan Mitchell is not on come on. He's not on. Stop. He's not on those guys' level. Please give me a break. Okay. Why don't you win more than one playoff series and then talk about Donovan Mitchell? Okay. Come on now, dude. Come on. Please give me a break with Donovan Mitchell. I like that. Donovan Mitchell's the best Jazz player since Karl Malone, but come on, he's not Dame Lillard, and he's not Luka Doncic. Okay, give me a break there, please. Okay, but yeah, that's the only issue I would have with the starters for the Western Conference. The Lillard Doncic thing, and we'll go back to the reserves in the East. You got Jaylen Brown, James Harden, Zach LaVine, Ben Simmons. Julius Randle, my guy from the Knicks, Julius Randle, Jason Tatum, and Vucevic. And I got a couple snubs, and I think there's two big snubs. There's Trae Young, and I think Trae Young is the biggest snub in the East, and I think Sabonis is a snub too. And I would have, and obviously I think the guys who shouldn't be all-stars is Bam Adebayo. You can make a case for Bam Adebayo. I might take Bam, but I think Vucevic is a little bit better because Vucevic could shoot threes, and Vucevic is the Magic's best player, and I think Sabonis is a little bit better than him too. So, but Bam, you can make an argument for Bam. That's a good argument Jace has there. But I would say the biggest snub was Trae Young, and I think the guy who shouldn't have made it was Ben Simmons. I'm sorry, you shouldn't be averaging 13.5 a game. You're the third best player on the team. You should not be an all-star. I'm sorry, Ben Simmons is not an all-star. Okay. He's the third best player on that Sixers team. Yes, he's really good defensively, but he's averaging 13.5 a game. Trae Young is averaging like 25 a game, and he can't miss from three, and he's the best player on the Hawks. He should be an all-star, not Ben Simmons. So I think I think Trae Young was definitely the biggest snub in the Eastern Conference. I mean, yes, you could argue Vucevic, Sabonis, and Bam, but Trae Young, the biggest snub out of all the reserves in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, I actually, because I know you talk about Young. I thought Bam would, and I know Vucevic has been great this year, and I saw him drop like 47 on the Kings 2 weeks ago. He was very impressive because Bam Adebayo is almost averaging a double-double. I think just because, and I know the Heat team's not very good this year, but still, I love the way he defends. I love the way he can score, rebounds. They're not playing well, but I still think, he's a bit better. I know Vucevic is the Magic's best player and all that. And I know he's kind of, they have Gordon as well.
Gordon's not that good. I think Fournier is better than Gordon.
He's fallen off the last, couple of years. I actually wanted the Kings to trade for him, but a few years ago. But yeah, he's got like 5.5 assists. I like the way I've been a Bam Adebayo fan, so I probably would have taken Bam over. I'm so kind of Bam, but over like a Ben Simmons, because I don't get Ben Simmons. He's averaging 13 points. He's not that
13.5 points a game.
I just don't understand. He's 6'10" against all these points.
He doesn't develop a 3-point shot, which is ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. I'm tired of seeing this guy in the All-Star game. He is so overrated, it is unreal. He's one of the most overrated players in the NBA. And for the number one overall pick, all right, he's a solid player. His game does not work to be a great player in today's NBA. These aren't the days where you could average 17 a game and be a great player like Jason Kidd was, like Steve Nash was, like John Stockton was. Those days don't exist anymore. If you're a point guard, you got to be averaging over 20 points a game. You got to be shooting threes. I'm sick and tired of all the Ben Simmons. Oh, Ben Simmons, he's so great defensively. I'm sick and tired of it. He is not an all-star. It is ridiculous he's an all-star.
Yeah, if he could ever develop a three-point shot at the side, because it's like you just back off of him and just, you project the drive. But again, guys would have to be in his face of three-point line if he could ever develop a shot. He would be so much better if he did. Yeah, it's not a game anymore where it's not. You gotta have a three-point shot to usually survive in this league.
Even centers do. Even centers do to be great players. Yeah. Embiid does. Jokic does. Vucevic does. Anthony Katz does. All the top 4 centers in the league have good three-point shots. So to me, it just makes no sense how you could have Trae Young not an all-star and have Ben Simmons an all-star. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I know. Trae Young's having a really good year too. I know and I think maybe part of it's too because I think there was some optimism of this Hawks team, and I know they have not been playing well. They've struggled, so I wonder if that's part of it.
Oh, come on, he's the best player on the team.
He is. I know he is. That's what I'm thinking. Maybe. I don't like this fan voting anyways. I've never been a big fan of all these all-star fan
I'm not either.
It's just, I'd rather have actually the players pick them or, actual committee or something, but I don't know. But yeah, I was surprised with this Trae Young thing.
And Jace made a good point. Reserves are coaches. Well, these coaches should know what they're talking about. But of course, the coach of the All-Star team is Doc Rivers. So, he wants Ben Simmons to be on the All-Star team. That's why. It's absolutely absurd. It's absolutely absurd. It's just absolutely absurd that he's an all-star over Trae Young. I just can't get over that fact.
Yeah, I know. Again, 13 points a game and you're 6'10" center or point guard. It's
absurd to me. But we'll go to the West reserves, and we got Damian Lillard, Jace's boy, Donovan Mitchell. I know he's an all-star. I'll give you that. He's a top 15 player. I'll give you that. CP3, which I have a major problem with. You got Paul George, you got Anthony Davis, Zion, and Gobert. And the one obviously I have the biggest problem with is CP3, and Devin Booker should be an all-star. That's absolutely ridiculous that Devin Booker's not an all-star and Chris Paul is. I don't care. This is not 2004. You can't be averaging 17, 16, 17. A player that averages 16 or 17 points a game is not better than a player that averages 24 to 25 points a game. This game is about scoring. Devin Booker scores points. Chris Paul is not the scorer he once was. Yes, he's kept that team stable. His leadership is great. He's still a good player in this league, but he's past his prime, and he's not an all-star. Devin Booker is an all-star, and he should be on the all-star team.
Yeah, he should. I was going to make a case for Aaron Fox, but then I was shocked when I saw Booker's name was left out, and I was like, okay, I can't really go with Fox anymore. So, yeah, with Booker – I was stunned that he didn't get over Chris Paul, and especially the way we saw him. And I know that doesn't count, but the way he played last year in the bubble into this year, it's translated. That Suns team right now, Jordan Clarkson. I don't know about Jordan.
Oh, stop! Jordan Clarkson doesn't even start. This is so biased towards the Jazz. Jordan Clarkson doesn't even start. Okay, anybody who doesn't start. Should not be an all-star. Anyone who doesn't get starter minutes should not be an all-star. Come on. That's ridiculous. You're playing against second units, and you want the guy to be an all-star. Okay. Lou Williams wasn't. All right, I'll give you that one. But seriously, most of the time, a guy doesn't start. They're not all-stars. Jordan Clarkson, big-time snub. Come on now, dude.
Yeah, but because they're like the Suns are one game back of the Lakers right now. Booker's been great. I know Chris Paul has really helped that team mature and grow because I'm stunned at where the Suns are right now in the standings. But I know LeBron said it, biggest stop. I think it is the way he's been playing. This team's 4.5 back of being in first place in the Western Conference. Like, who would have thought that? But yeah, I thought Booker was the biggest one. I was gonna go with Fox, but I saw because I was actually stunned at first when I see Booker's name on the list. But yeah, Booker deserves a be an all-star game.
Absolutely, without question. So we're going to get to some NBA teams. We're going to get to one NBA team, who's north of us, who's really struggling, and that's the Boston Celtics. The Celtics are really struggling. I mean, you saw the game on Sunday where they had a 24-point lead over the Pelicans, and they blew that lead. You saw the game last night where they had where they were up late. Luke hit those two big threes. They're right now they're sitting at 15 and 16. That is their worst record after 31 games since 2004. That was Brad Stevens' first season as head coach. This team, I think they've lost. I'm going to look it up right now. I think they've lost they've lost probably like six of their six of the last seven.
Two of the last four, or two of the last six they've won.
Okay, yeah. So they've lost 4 of their last 6 games. They've really, really struggled. They're 15 and 16. I think part of it is COVID, but I mean another issue and injuries. Marcus Smart's been out, but really I think they just can't close out games. That's the problem. They've lost 7 games by 5 points or less. I think they've lost like 5 games where they've had the lead with 30 seconds to go, and last night was one of them where Luke hit those 2 big shots. So yeah, the Celtics. I think this is the most underachieving team in the NBA. Seeing that they've been in the conference finals 3 of the last 4 years, you're thinking with that they have 2 All-Stars too. With Jason, I know they're not starters or reserves, but with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, two guys who are deserving of being on the All-Star team. But seeing this team struggle, I think this is the most underachieving team in the NBA right now.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, especially the way Jaylen Brown's been playing this year. He's up to almost 26 points a game, and you figured, man, he's giving you 26 points a game with Tatum and Walker. Like, man, I figured they'd be sitting right there for second place. But, yeah, it's been closing out games. And Brad Stevens, too, and I'm a big Brad Stevens guy.
Of course, because he was a Butler guy, and he was a college coach. Of course, you're a Brad Stevens guy.
Yeah. So, I definitely, exactly. And the thing too about him is I think he's too much of a nice guy, I think, and he's not a guy that's gonna come in and fire you up and when things are going bad, he's not gonna be the one that really, lights the fire. I think maybe that's somewhat part of it. It's definitely closing out games. Again, Daniel Theis right now is like 1 for his last 15 shooting. Like they need a center. They need a big guy.
Oh yeah, that's why trading for Drummond will make complete sense for that team because they have no big guys. Because last night, Boban Marjanovic had a double against them, and they got destroyed on the boards last night.
Yeah, I think they're middle of the pack. They've been able to do somewhat decent, but I also think the rookies too, like the young guys like Grant Williams, Aaron Naismith, and Peyton Pritchard were all playing pretty well at the beginning of the season. And now they've all kind of started to come back down to earth here, which I think is part of it.
Because they're all not great. They're all not great players. And go ahead with Kemba.
And Kemba's just been inconsistent. I don't know if it's but the thing is, March starts next week. Even in the NBA, he's been great when March and April comes around. That's usually when he gets going.
But to me, he's never been a superstar in the NBA. He's been a very good player. He's been an all-star at times, but he's never been a superstar. And he's clearly their 3rd best player. And it just shows you. He put up a bunch of points in Charlotte when they had a bad team. Now that he's joined the Celtics, he has 2 players that are better than him, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. He's not as good.
Yeah.
And you see Sean's comment. As much as I love Kemba, he's got to be better. Absolutely. He definitely has to be better. Yeah. Because, because if he is – what are you going to say, Justin? No, you go ahead.
I think Sunday he shot for like 4 for 21 or something like that. Like it was bad. Like I was like, that's not Kemba.
Oh,
absolutely. He's got to be better.
Yeah, I mean, and he's got to be that 3rd best player and that 3rd scorer for that team. Because if he could step up and be their 3rd scorer, that could be a really good, like he did last year. That could be a really good team. But this year he has struggled, and the team has struggled. So yeah, he definitely needs to step up.
Yeah, definitely. And if he can, the way Brown's been playing at Tatum, they'll be fine. It's just. I would love to see them go get Drummond. I think, you pair those 2 together. I know Drummond's not great defensively, I know, but I think he would add an immediate spark to that team. But yeah, it's closing out games. And then last night too, they're talking about their defense. Every time their perimeter defenders were guarded out in the 3-point line, the Magic just blew by him on the drive. Like and Brad Stevens teams usually do not have that problem. They usually are really good defensive teams, and I'd not really seen that this year. They really just been average, it's the best.
Yeah, that's what's been going on with them, and they just haven't been able to, haven't been great defensively. Just and really outside of Brown and Tatum, no one has really played that well. So that's why they're at where they're at. But we got Sean's comment. As much as I love Kemba, he's got to be better. Yeah, and obviously Kemba's got to be better. But we got to get to the one of the games tonight, and that's the Lakers and the Jazz. And I mean, who cares who wins? The Lakers are going to be without Anthony Davis, so I really don't care if the Jazz win this game by double digits. The big question is, are the Jazz the best team in the West? I think it's a pretty easy question for me. They're absolutely not the best team in the West. I think I'll give them this: they're a title contender because of their record, but they are absolutely, in my opinion, not the best team in the West, and they're absolutely not the second best team in the West. Okay, I think the reason for it is. Just say we're drafting players here, okay? And you do a draft. You're easily taking Anthony Davis and you're taking LeBron James before you take anybody on the Jazz. And then say you're doing another draft. Say it's with the Clippers players. You're easily taking Kawhi Leonard before you take anyone on the Jazz. Now, Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, that's debatable, but you could argue you could take Paul George over Donovan Mitchell. So. They're clearly, I don't care what the record is, they are clearly the third best team in the West. But why I think they're a title contender is I think their chemistry is outstanding. I think they probably have the best chemistry in the league, even though Donovan Mitchell's not a top 10 player in the NBA. He's a top 15 player. I think, Mike Conley's played well. Obviously, Rudy Gobert has played really well. Bogdanovich has played well too. And they got great chemistry. And they have the sixth man of the year. So they're probably the deepest team because they have the sixth man of the year in Jordan Clarkson. And they have a really good three-point shooter in Joe Ingles. So I think they're a title contender. But to me, they're the third best team in the West. I don't care what happens tonight. I don't care if they win the game by 40 points tonight over the Lakers. To me, they are still the third best team in the Western Conference.
I don't know if you saw Jay's comments. He said, you take all the Jazz reserves over any other team's reserves.
Who cares about the reserves? This is the NBA. Who cares about the reserves? Who cares about
series?
Who cares about the reserves? Who cares about the backups? This is a superstars league. Okay. You could count on in that series if they play in the conference finals. You could count on AD and LeBron dropping at least 25 points in each game. You cannot count on any Jazz player doing that. Okay. I don't care about the reserves at all. Okay. I don't care. I don't. Okay. I care about the superstars and LeBron and AD. You take over anybody on that Jazz team any day of the week, okay? Any day of the week.
Yeah, I would love to be the advocate here for Donovan Mitchell, but I got to see it too in the playoffs. I just, we saw AD and LeBron do it. I'm definitely up in the air between him and, Paul George and Donovan Mitchell. I really am. But, yeah, over Kawhi, I can't. I do think they're the third best team, but, again, I think in a 7-game series, it's close. I think they could,
All right, they might.
I want to take them over the Clippers, but it's just if you see Paul George the way he did last year in the bubble, and I know it, sounded like it could have been a mental thing, then I definitely take the Jazz. But it's a close one for me.
Yeah, but I think Paul George is going to be fine this year in the playoffs. I think he's going to be fine. And if they play the Lakers in a 7-game series, I don't see it going. I think it goes 6 max because I just don't think they even take them to a game 7. You're not taking LeBron and AD with your best player being Donovan Mitchell. You're not taking LeBron and AD to 7 games. And I think here's another thing people don't talk about is another reason why the Jazz have had all the success is they were knocked out in the first round of the playoffs, so they've had all this time off. The Lakers were playing into October. The Jazz were done in late August, so they've had all this time off. They're rested. Where the Lakers have, had to come back from, basically had pretty much a 2-month off season when the Jazz had pretty much a 3.5-month off season. So it's a big difference there. So that's why I think the Jazz are winning all these regular season games. But I think, this regular season success, and we've seen this with teams in the past. We saw it with the Hawks back in 2015 when everybody said they were so much better than LeBron and they were better than LeBron and the Cavaliers, and then they played in the conference finals, and the Cavs destroyed them in the conference finals. So I think this could be a very similar situation. I think the Jazz are a little bit better than that Hawks team. But this could be a very similar situation of a team that plays really, really well in the regular season, but does not have the same success in the postseason.
Yeah, I could totally see that happening because it too, LeBron's going to be on Donovan Mitchell, and playoff LeBron defensively, he's going to be tough to score on. And then AD and on Gobert, it would, again, like a Joe Ingles or Bogdanovich or Jordan Clarkson could have, but can you rely on them every night in the playoffs to be the, help out the Donovan Mitchell or Rudy Gobert to be your possibly number 2 scorer if LeBron's locking down Donovan Mitchell, which is very possible. That's what I worry about. Because it seems like right now they do have the pieces around, where if Donovan Mitchell does have an off night, Joe Ingles could step up, but Bogdanovich could step up, Jordan Clarkson. Like, they seem like they have those guys. But yeah, when it gets to playoff time, can they step up when when the lights are the brightest? I think that's the biggest question for me, because because it does seem like they have the depth and they have the guys to go, a 6-7 game series in a final, Western Conference Finals or something. But I do think right now the third best team, but I put them close to the Clippers. Definitely the Lakers.
I think the coaching makes them close to the Clippers. I think the coaching is a big issue there. I think the coaching is an issue with the Clippers. I mean, the fact George was sitting out the last 2 minutes of that game on Sunday was absolutely ridiculous. So I think the coaching, I think Quinn Snyder is a much better coach than Ty Lue. So I think the coaching, the Jazz have a big coaching advantage. The Lakers, I don't think that Quinn Snyder is that much better than Frank Vogel. And obviously you have LeBron James, and he's pretty much a coach too. So it really doesn't matter there. So, but yeah, the Clippers, I would say, because of the coaching, I think the Jazz would definitely have a better chance of beating them.
Yeah, because I like Quinn Snyder, and I know he's a Duke guy, and I usually don't.
Duke assisted on that '99 team.
Yeah, so
beat UConn. He was the head assistant to Coach K.
Yeah, so usually I don't dish out comments. So yeah, what he's doing right now with the Jazz, doing a really good job. Yeah, because I don't. Yeah, that Sunday decision was mind-boggling, but who knows? But Jazz close for me as being the number 2 team, but. They have a nice cushion as long as they keep playing well. Could they take the Lakers a set? I'd probably be with you. I'd probably say 6 games.
6 games. Yeah.
I think LeBron would be able to kind of lock up Donovan Mitchell, and I don't know. I don't know if I trust the rest of the guys in a big playoff spot.
Exactly. And for the game tonight, I think the Jazz win. It really doesn't matter for the Lakers because I don't think seeding matters for the Lakers. I think the Jazz win it by 2 scores because Anthony Davis is out.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, I think with AD out, I don't know. Last time LeBron's been like an 8-point dog. That's crazy. But I'll take the Jazz tonight. They've been playing really well.
Absolutely. So we got to go on to college basketball, and UConn got a win last night over Georgetown, a game they needed to win. Started fast. Georgetown made a little bit of comeback, took the lead going into the half, but then UConn pulled away late. James Bouknight with 20, RJ Cole with 17. UConn does their job and beats Georgetown 70-57 last night.
Yep, they got a quad 2 win. It was very sloppy for most of that game last night. I thought it was a much better second half. The biggest issue I still have is, especially with Hurley, he was a point guard. And the thing is, when they're in the half court offense, it's just, I don't know if you know, Steve, but they move when they run their offense in the half court, they're going half speed. They're just going through the motions, it looks like.
Yeah.
And it's pretty tough to score when you're going half speed. Like, again, I don't know if that's what they do in practice, or I would think not, but that's a huge issue, and you got to run. And I kind of
Calhoun used to have a quote: "If you go half speed around here, you're gonna get a lot of rest during games." That used to be a Calhoun quote back in the day.
Yeah, imagine
Calhoun
with the way they run their offense.
I know it's methodical. I'll agree with you. The half court offense is methodical,
and I don't know why. But with Hurley being a point guard, and that. When they're in transition offense and they're able to run, they're so much better. It's the only way they could score. But then it's like Hurley wants to slow them down for some reason. It's like I would think he would have that feel being a point guard to know, hey, we got to keep this, we got to keep speeding up here. We cannot stay in the half court. But it doesn't look like he has that feel because I think he's still running the offense. But they got to get that out. They got to fix that. RJ Cole, I thought, had a really good second half, and he was a first UConn player since to have 15 points, 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 5 steals, no turnovers since Kemba Walker did in 2011 in the Big East semifinals in Syracuse. So he got in the lane in the second half because that was open all night. That lane was open all night. They missed so many point blank shots. Sanago, again, He still should be a high school senior this year. Like, so he's still really young. There's a couple times where I thought, he got hot early. He missed a couple bunnies. Josh Carlton on one of them. It's a 3-footer. He's like fading away. It's like, Josh, you're 6'10". Go up strong. Like, it's just like some of these guys are afraid to go up for contact. I don't know why, but again, I thought the defense played well for the most part. I like when they're pressing and they're forcing turnovers, and again, 5 straight. There's the first one in Georgetown since 2005. They broke a 5-game losing streak.
I mean, it's not that big of an accomplishment winning at Georgetown these days. Okay, Georgetown's program is not good. No, this isn't the Georgetown of 2013. Okay,
yeah, I know.
Let's get that.
They've been playing better though. They have some young talent. They've been playing better, but that's usually the house of horrors for them. This
isn't the Roy Hibbert days. This isn't the Jeff Green days. This is even the Otto Porter days. Okay.
I know, but still, to go on but that's been a struggle for them. They've lost at East Carolina, they've lost at Tulsa, I get it. They've lost those games off. So
I got it. My 3 biggest takeaways are this since James Bouknight came back. My 2 biggest takeaways. One is that this team to me is they should be an NCAA tournament team. I think Lenardi needs to have them in the field. With James Bouknight, this is an NCAA tournament team, but they are not a championship team because against good teams, and you saw them against Villanova, they could not no one else stepped up outside of James Bouknight in that Villanova game. So I don't think this is a championship team. I think this might be a team that could win a tournament game and maybe get to the second weekend. But this is not a championship team in my opinion. Secondly, James Bouknight, for as well he's played, my concern is his 3-point shooting. His 3-point shooting has not been good. I think he only made 1 3 last night. Didn't make any threes against Providence. Made the first 2 threes of the game against Villanova, but he didn't make any threes after that. So I think his 3-point shooting has not been good. And I think teams in the tournament, good teams, are going to be able to just not let him drive to the basket, not guard him out on the 3-point line. And I think that and force him to shoot threes. And if they do that, I think that's the best way to contain James Bouknight. So I think his 3-point shooting needs to get better. Yeah,
definitely. I don't know if it's just he's not in rhythm yet or what. I liked how Hurley managed him last night that he did on Saturday. Because Saturday you can see he was absolutely gassed, and then adding one more point with Bouknight, he needs to stay off the floor. I've never seen somebody more on the floor than he is. He's gonna get himself killed out there, especially in the NBA. They're gonna eat him alive. He's got to be able to stay on his feet. He's gonna hurt. He's gonna continue to get hurt.
And I think one thing he has to do more is he has to, when he's penetrating, he needs to kick the ball out. He can't just keep going to the basket. He's got to when you penetrate, you got to kick the ball out. You got to create. You got to make some other guy. Yeah. Do I think Bouknight is a great player? Yeah. But you got to make the guys better around you. I want to see that a little bit more in tournament time when he's driving to the hoop and guys converge to the basket. I want to see him kick the ball out. Get the ball to R.J. Cole. Get the ball to Tyler Polley. Get the ball to Tyrese Martin. Set them up and make them hit big shots too.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, because because guys usually just stand around and there's not much movement. Again, they're all because we've seen if Polley is on, he's wide open, he'll hit it. Martin's very streaky, but again, he's open more likely than not, he's gonna hit it. RJ Cole, I think he's been playing better the last 2 games. Again, he's a guy that if he gets hot, he will make his shots. So yeah, I would love to see James Bouknight penetrate more and dish it out. I think it would be really. Again, because then people respect it more, and then everybody kind of converges on him because they know he's going up to the hole, and and that would open up 2-3 guys, maybe even 4 guys wide open outside, So I would love to see him to do that more. But yeah, it's still kind of with his 3-point shooting too. It's still concerning, but again, I hope he's just trying to get in rhythm right now. It's still because he didn't look great Saturday. Just conditioning wise, I still don't know how healthy he was. I still think it still his elbow may be bothering him a little bit. But yeah, again, he can be a great player. And when we've seen it in March, if you have that one guy that can score, that he's got that will, and he can hit a basket whenever you need it, you can go far in this tournament. And James Bouknight can do that. But if nobody else can, then you can just box and win them, and again, your tourney runs over. So yeah.
Yeah, and we saw with UConn's championship teams, Kemba Walker had Jeremy Lamb. Shabazz Napier had Ryan Boatwright. So he had Boatwright. So they had that second guy that was consistent. I don't know if UConn has that second guy that's consistent.
Yeah, I don't either, because it seems like one night it's a Tyrese Martin, one night it's an RJ Cole. We've seen Powley have good games. We saw Gaffney have 20 points in the game. So yeah, it could be any one of these guys, but they all are not consistent at the same time. And if they were, it would be a scary team. But again, I don't know if it's just COVID just affected everything, rhythm, who knows? But yeah, if they can have that second guy, then yeah, this is a scary good team and a team that could definitely. Again, I think they said if they can get in at that, like I've seen one bracketology where they have a 9 seed, but I would like to say away from the 8-9 game. But if they can get like a 10, 11, maybe they could get their way to like a 7, they make a run the Big East tournament. I think they could beat a couple of 2 seeds. Again, they held them to Villanova. Again, they beat Houston last year. I think Houston, was a better team last year than they are this year. So if they can get that second guy, I think there is a chance they can get to the second weekend. As long as they avoid the 8-9 game, I think there's a chance they could get to the second weekend.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But we got to talk about the game against Marquette on Saturday. And this is a game at home they need to win. They need to beat Marquette. If they lose this game, there's a very good chance they won't make the tournament because Marquette's not a good team. I remember, and they didn't play well against them in the first half out there. But I think with Marquette coming here, contain Carton, contain Garcia, and I think they win this game. And I think they win this game by double digits.
Yeah, this is a game they should win. Marquette, they're going to North Carolina tonight. They're like a mix of like.
Why are they playing North Carolina, by the way?
North Carolina had like a COVID BC had a COVID issue, so they want to reschedule.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So yeah, that's why they're playing tonight. But yeah, so they're like on a 6-game road trip right now, which is very, very rare in college basketball. DJ Carton, they did a great job with him the first. He shot like 3 for 12 the first time around. They should not fall behind by 18 this time. I don't think they will. Poly really carried them. Dawson Garcia, I think 20 and 12. He's a tough matchup because with his size, he's 6'11". Whaley's like a 6'8". So it's tough for Whaley. Poly's, not great defensively. And then because Garcia could shoot too, so it's not like Sanago could guard him outside. We saw, he struggles out there. We kind of saw a lot against the pick and roll and all that. But it's definitely a team they should beat. It's a Marquette team that's kind of really struggling right now. It's also kind of consistency with them. They have like 5 guys that average double digits, but it's like one night they only get like 4 points out of one of them. Carton and Garcia have been the 2 guys. If you could shut down Carton, they should be okay. Again, I think you put some pressure on them. And then Garcia too. He's got 17 assists and 34 turnovers. Don't be afraid to double. Marquette's not. They're shooting like 32%.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. Yeah, just if he's having a big game, just double him inside and force him to shoot threes. That's what you could do in college basketball. That's a lot of teams do defensively. When the team has a good big, you double the big, make the team beat you from the perimeter.
Yeah, and and then again, that too, and then again turnovers too. That's because then you get the run. You get easy buckets. That's what they need. They need to run and get easy buckets. They cannot stand in the half court. And again, if they could speed them up like they did at the beginning against Georgetown last night, they should win. They should win this team. They should beat these guys big on Saturday.
Looking at UConn's upcoming schedule, they got Marquette at home, Georgetown at home, and then Seton Hall on the road. I think they got to go. They got to go at least. They got to go. I think they got to go 3-0 in those 3 games. I think if they lose even one of those 3, they could have trouble making the tournament, depending on what they do in the Big East tournament.
Yeah,
And Seton Hall's the one. I think Seton Hall's got to be. I feel like Seton Hall's got to be a win too because they lost to Seton Hall the last time, and Seton Hall's on the bubble. Is on the bubble.
Yeah. And that Seton Hall game, coming off the COVID again with the ref and whatever, they played over 15 minutes with basketball and they still almost won that game. And I think Seton Hall too, it's gonna be the first game where they're gonna have fans too. So, I think that's gonna be an added boost for Seton Hall that night. But anyways, now I saw on DraftKings, I didn't see it this morning, but they're like minus 670 to make the NCAA tournament. Where Duke and like Stanford are like minus 150. So it's like DraftKings really thinks that they're gonna get it in.
And the committee's going to consider the Boak Knight injury, I think.
Yeah. like Jerry Palm, I think the CBS practice has him as a 9 seed right now.
Oh, okay. So
So
because Lenardi has them like out of the tournament, but yeah, I mean, so yeah, it's weird to see where UConn is right now.
Yeah, it's a weird thing, and I think the committee's gonna evaluate him with Bognut in there. I think they will. Again, yeah, 3-0. They should go 3-0 in the final. Again, at Seton Hall is gonna be a tough one. I am worried about that, but yeah, you got to take care of everything. Marquette and Georgetown. I think if you're lost at Seton Hall and you win it, I think they're still fine as long as they don't have a mess up in the Big East tournament. Which, again, with all the number all mixed match, I don't even want to predict who they're going to play.
Yeah, but I think right now they should be the 4 seed, right? 3 or 4 seed.
Yeah, so they're tied in loss.
If they win out, would they beat the 3?
Yeah, because they're two back in the win column at Seton Hall, but they both have 6 losses. So they knocked Seton Hall to 7 losses. So if they win out, they beat Seton Hall, they'd be at 3. They can't. They're down 2 losses at Creighton, but or actually Creighton played 16 games, so I don't think win percentage why they could. I don't think see Creighton losing 2 games the next few weeks. So they'd be at 3.
Yeah, that's where you had them before the season.
Yeah. Yeah, because Providence. I didn't trust Providence.
And it's not like this is the Big 12 or the Big 10 or the ACC, but still, it's a week. I didn't feel like it's a week here in the Big East because seeing that Providence isn't as good. Seton Hall lost Miles Powell. Marquette lost Marcus Howard, so it's not as good of a year in the Big East. But still, being in third is still good and should be good enough to make the tournament.
Yeah, and it's a young. A lot of these teams are young. Like Butler's like the second youngest team in the conference. Even Marquette's young. Georgetown's young. St. John's is young. They've been a surprise. Xavier's even young. So it's like it's one of those things where it's kind of down, but finishing third in the Big East, they never got the top 3 in the American. So it just kind of shows
which in my opinion was an embarrassment. But that's another story for another day. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. So yeah, I think they'd be great as being at that 3. I think they finished 4th. I think because I don't think coaches in the conference knew what we were going to get from UConn. So with what we've seen, they definitely finishing 3rd is a great start to it. And again, you hung out around with Villanova on the road. You should have been Creighton at home, and then you didn't have Bognut on the road. So it's like they could be right. They're right there. They're right there. So third again. I got no problem. I knew Villanova and Creighton were going to be a class of this league, and it was kind of okay. UConn should be like the second tier. They should kind of be that first team in tier 2.
Yep. So we'll see what happens with UConn, but we got to get to a story in college basketball that happened last week with Jaylon Johnson opting out and seeing the team's success with Jaylon Johnson opting out because Duke has won their 3 games. They beat Wake Forest, they beat Virginia on Saturday in the big game, and they beat Jim Boeheim, who made comments about this, and Syracuse on Monday night, and they beat him pretty good. They beat him by double digits. So right now, the biggest question is, and you follow college basketball more than me. I know you have an opinion on this. Is Duke two-part question? Is but this is pretty much the same question because of Boeheim's comments saying that they're a better team without Jaylon Johnson. Is Duke a better team without Jaylon Johnson?
I did not think they were until Monday, and I was kind of reading more into it as last week went on. I think they are. And again, these are a couple of the key things what I was reading and what I've heard. Jaylon Johnson didn't arrive to Duke until August 20th. And let's remember, he can't, it's not like normal years where he gets to know all of his teammates like you usually do. Again, you just practice and go to games with them. You can't hang out with them. You can't go to parties. You can't even hang out in a hotel when you're on the road. It's one of those things where I feel like he just never bonded. And I think it's one, where he was never close because I forgot why, but he arrived campus later than everybody else. So I think when everyone else got to kind of know each other, he was already behind everybody else. And I think, and it felt like he just didn't fit with what they wanted to do. Again, it has helped that Matthew Hurt going, was 18 for 22 his last 3 games from shooting 3 ball, which again is remarkable. You don't ever see that happen. The guy shooting that hot right now. But with all the COVID, it sounded too like he's had 1 foot in the door, 1 foot out all season long. So just, I think it's one of those things where it's like they've kind of just, okay, he's, again, I don't think he was a cancer or anything in the locker room, but I think it's one of those things where it's like, okay, he's gone, but it didn't bug him. It didn't bother him. I just don't think he was very close with the team. I heard too, like he's transferred, I think, out of like 2 or 3 different heights. So again, who knows what's going on around there, but I didn't think they were a better team, but the way they've been playing, I think they are. I know NC State's not great. They've missing their best player. Wake Forest, Steve Forrest has a lot to do. I like him, but Wake's got a long way to go. Virginia's best wins at Clemson. Like Virginia's, I think, a bit overrated right now. And then Syracuse, again, they're not, it's the buddy show.
Yeah, the ACC, this is one of the worst ACCs in a while, in my opinion. I think the ACC is very, very weak this year because North Carolina's down. They're better than they were last year, but they're down. Duke's down. Virginia's good, but they're not as good. So this is a watered down ACC this year. And here's one question I want to ask you: what did you think of Boeheim's comments? Did you agree with him? He's kind of backed off the comments about Jaylon Johnson.
Yeah, actually, when he first came out and he said, yeah, they're a better team, I didn't agree with that at first. Now I think they are a better team too. But again, worry about your own team, Boeheim.
I know. I don't get that. Yeah.
Again, him and Krzyzewski, they every time Krzyzewski says something, Boeheim's got to back him up. Like it's like a partnership, those two. Again, worry about your own team, Boeheim. Again, teach your team how to play man-to-man defense because that doesn't work anymore.
Oh my God! Did you see that on Monday night? Dude couldn't miss from 3.
No,
that's why. He's a dinosaur right now, Jim. In my opinion, Boeheim's a dinosaur. He's obviously with what he did. Well, what happened a couple of years ago, he shouldn't be coaching, but he's a dinosaur. He refuses to play man-to-man defense.
Yeah, he does, and I know you got to teach it, but like in this day and age, Steve, even the college guys are much better shoes than they were 10 years ago when Carmelo was here at Syracuse.
It may be time for Syracuse to get rid of him.
I know it should be, but I don't want him to. Recruiting's taking a big hit. Look, they don't play anybody. Like Buddy, guys don't want to go there because of Buddy, I think.
Oh God, that program! It's amazing how far that program has fallen in 5 years.
It's been great. Again, they missed the Big East.
UConn's fallen off and coming back, but Syracuse is in a free fall right now. They are in a free fall of a program. Yeah, for UConn fans, it definitely is fun to watch. It definitely.
Did you actually see him 2 weeks ago? He picking his nose again. He had the max down. He's picking his nose on TV camera.
I heard about that. Yeah.
Come on, we're in the pandemic. Get the mask down, picking your nose.
Oh yeah, exactly. So we got some news in baseball. A big contract by Fernando Tatis Jr. But before that, we have a promo from Clovercrest Media.
Red Sox fans have longed to hear it. The Boston Red Sox are world champions.
Can you believe it?
It hasn't happened at Fenway Park for 95 years.
Fires. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. It's over. The Red Sox have won the World Championship.
Tune in to the newest show presented by Clovercrest Media. It's Ovi's Backstop Podcast. Catch it twice a week, every Red Sox series finale on your favorite podcast platform.
That was the newest CMG podcast, Ovi's Backstop Podcast. Catch it this Sunday, the opening episode this Sunday. I think obviously Sean Scanlon will be a guest. He's a Red Sox fan. Here's an interesting one. Joe Aguirre's going to be a guest. Joe's going to be a guest. Joe's going to be on that podcast. That's going to be interesting to see Joe on a Red Sox podcast. I'm going to be interested to see Joe on that podcast. Oh man! Oh boy!
Something. Oh yeah.
I don't know. That's good. That's good. Oh my God! Him and Alex Cora. Because we know something about Joe. Joe hates Alex Cora, so that's going to be fun to see him go at it about Alex Cora. So yeah, Joe's going to be one of the. I don't know if he's going to be a regular guest on the show, but he's going to be a guest on the Red Sox podcast with Ovi. That's going to be interesting there.
Yeah,
to see Joe on that. But Backstop Podcast, Ovi's Backstop Podcast. It's going to be done twice a week after every Red Sox series. First episode is this Sunday, so definitely check that out. CMG's newest podcast. Even as a Yankee fan, I think it's nice to have a Red Sox podcast going on. Obviously we've had the roll call going on for a while, so it'll be nice to being here in Connecticut. It's nice to have both teams being represented here at CMG with the Sox and the Yankees, and just. Our goal now in the fall probably has to be maybe getting the Patriots represented to get a Pats podcast going and get the Patriots represented. So Justin would like that.
Yeah. I don't think we have. I think it's a lot of Giants fans.
It's a ton of Giants fans in CMG.
Yeah,
it's a ton of Giants fans in CMG. It's like 8 Giants fans, one Cowboy fan. Jared, you're a Patriots fan. I think Rob is a Steeler fan. Tyler's a Patriot fan too. Yeah, you and Tyler are the only 2 Patriot fans, and there's 10 Giants fans. And
you guys.
Joe likes to pick the Giants fans.
Oh yeah,
he doesn't like to pick the other. Yeah. He likes to pick the Yankee and Giant fans. So you're part of CMG. Yeah. And if you gotta be either one. You gotta be either one. You gotta be either one of those. So
we have a Mets fan.
Isaiah's a Mets fan. Yes.
Oh, Isaiah's a Mets fan. Okay, so we have a Mets, but that's about it. Mostly Yankees too.
Yeah, he wants the Yankees too. Seeing who the president is, that's what he wants. He wants the Yankee and Giant fans on there. So so again, Ovi's Backstop Podcast, this Sunday opening episode, and then twice a week during the season. So check that out. But we got to get to baseball. We got to get to Fernando Tatis Jr. 14 years, $340 million. They have pretty much just locked him in as being their franchise player. And they should. He's a 5-tool player. Has speed, power, average, great defensively. He is a top 10 player in baseball. And I think this is a really good move for the Padres to sign Tatis Jr. long term. Yeah,
I know he's only playing 143 games, and he's which to get but we've seen all the sparks and all that. Like he hasn't played a full season, and he's already getting this money. But he's been a superstar, and I like it too by the Padres because when this deal's up, he's going to be 36 years old. He's not going to be like Albert Pujols, and he's going to be like 42 in the last 4 or 5 years. It's like you're not getting a ton. He's going to be 35, 36 when things up. So again, he could still kind of be like more like a DJ LeMahieu, just kind of be change his game, maybe be more a contactor if he has to. Like I think this is a really good move too because again, maybe when he's done, you can lock him up for another year or two. Who knows? So yeah, I think it's a really smart move by the Padres, and they've done a great job as a small market team. Small market teams are watching what they do and making people more competitive.
Great. I mean, it all started with going out and signing Machado back in 2019. They signed Machado, which was a great Hosmer. I don't know, back even 18 with Eric Hosmer. That's where it started. 18. Machado. Then you get Tatis in there. Now with the pitching, they went out and traded for Yu Darvish. They went out and traded for Blake Snell. So you look at this Padres team, there's a lot of excitement in San Diego. It's going to be fun to see those fans come into Petco Park. I think it's going to be a lot of fun watching those Padres-Dodger games. Outside of the Yankees, for me, Padres-Dodgers is going to be must-see. And that's probably for baseball this year, I'll watch as many Yankee games as I can. And if the Padres and Dodgers are playing, I'm watching. If the Yankees aren't playing, the Padres and Dodgers are playing, I'm definitely watching because that's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, well, definitely. Being the only sports team now in town, but
I know. So yeah,
it's just they've been kind of waiting for this. So yeah, it's great for the Padre fan. I love watching Padre games too, especially on Sunday, the home games when they wear the camos. Those are my favorite uniforms of baseball, the camos when they wear those Sunday afternoons for the military appreciation. So I always try to tune on Sunday afternoons, but yeah, I'll be tuning a lot of Padre, especially Padre Dodgers. Should be really, really fun to watch this year. But, this team's right there. And I remember, when they got Hosmer and Machado, I think we were talking about it too. And I was like making fun of them. I was like, wow.
What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah. You should be rebuilding. What are you doing getting all these guys? But now it makes sense. Looking at their team now, it makes a ton of sense why they got those guys.
Yeah. And let's hope more small market teams do it. And maybe it would help the sport of baseball.
Again, Absolutely. But we'll get to some more news, and this series one's pretty obvious. Garrett Cole is going to be named the opening as a day starter for the Yankees. This is obvious. He's clearly the ace, and you knew it was just a matter of time. Boone was going to announce it.
Yeah, definitely. You knew it was going. The big guy paying him $36 million a year. He's going to go out there day one. Hopefully, Gary Sanchez will be behind the plate for him as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll see. We'll see about that. We'll see. But I think he more than likely will be behind the plate for him. Last topic, though, which we'll spend some time on, is what happened with the Mariners. Kevin Mather, their president, resigned after inappropriate comments about the Japanese pitcher Ikamura and a prospect of Julio Rodriguez, and these were just inappropriate comments. The interpreter comment was uncalled for, and he needed to be gone after that comment. There was no excuse for making that comment at all. That was just a completely inappropriate comment, and the Mariners did the right thing. He didn't resign; he got fired, firing him. That should not have happened.
Yeah, it's ridiculous the stuff he was saying. They kind of say about the interpreter stuff and doesn't want to pay. You got millions of dollars, dude. It's again, what it kind of just showing you just do not care for your players. You don't want the best for them. It was such a battle. I heard too in the early 2000s when he was still with the Mariners, he was accused of harassment too. But I guess they settled it with his accusers back in like 2003. So it's like he's had issues in the past, and I'm surprised he was this position that he was still. I heard that, but yeah, it was awful. You cannot be doing that. And that guy had no place in sport baseball or in any sports organization.
Yeah, no. For those comments, no, we should never get a job at all. I mean, it's a disgraceful comment. You don't make comments like that towards minorities. It's disgraceful. It's embarrassing, and I should never be hired. I mean, it's humiliating. And even the GM was embarrassed when he made those comments.
Yeah. And they should, that whole organization, it's been actually since he took the job, he's been there since 97. So they've been pretty much awful since the moment he's been there in that organization. So
you wonder why he's had this job as long. Yeah. I wonder why he's had this job this long.
I don't know. It's crazy. Yeah, he did have this job.
I'm not going to lie to you. I didn't even know who that was until he got fired.
Yeah. I mean, I never heard it. I never knew their president, that guy's name. Yeah, until he was fired. I didn't either. So yeah, it kind of just shows you he really, he hasn't done much for that organization at all. So yeah, just absolutely embarrassing. The comments he said, it's awful.
Oh, without question. And the Mariners made the right thing getting rid of him, and now they're moving on without him, which is completely appropriate.
Yeah, they had no issues there. He should, because he called the best pitcher too very boring that they have. Like it just, he just got, I don't know why he ever brought these things up.
Yeah, and even you saw Kyle Seager's wife making comments too about this, saying they may not re-sign him. He's just making just completely dumb comments. It's just awful.
Yeah, again, like why do you ever speak? I know it was like a
rotary thing. Yeah,
I'm like I never heard of that till after the fact. Like I just don't understand why. Like what are you? Again, like why are you in this position that you are if you seem like you have no interest in the players? Like why are you just it makes no sense. Like I would think in a spot like you would enjoy what you do, but it doesn't really seem like he did. He just loved to just rag on the players. Again, like it's on him. Like it's on, it totally just I just don't get it. I never thought I'd see an actual owner like speak like that. It's just embarrassing.
Oh, absolutely! It absolutely is. It absolutely is embarrassing. But we're going to wrap up the show, and we don't really talk much hockey, but seeing that we're both Ranger fans, and this is their best player, and Artemi Panarin, he is taking a leave of absence for accusations for assault accusations back in Russia back in 2011. My take on this, I really didn't know that much about the situation, but if these are true, we'll see what the Rangers do here. I think if these are true, maybe there could be. I wouldn't mind if the Rangers release him. Character has to be a big thing, and I hope these accusations aren't true. But if they are true, I wouldn't mind if as a Ranger fan, I wouldn't mind if they release him.
What I've heard is this is not because now this was his former coach that he played in the KHL team or whatever. Who is a supporter of Vladimir Putin, and his teammates on that team said those don't add up. The way the Rangers came out in their statement in the AHL, I do think that this is something where they're just trying to come after him. Again, like it sounds like he still has family over there too. So it sounds, I think too, because he has spoken out. I think he's called like over there, like like lawless. He's been in possession way too long. Like he's kind of going off after the Russian government, which again, it's a communist country. And so it sounds like that accusation is false and they're just trying to get him for something. And again, it sounds like he doesn't know right now, or this was like 2 days ago. I haven't seen anything else on, but he doesn't know if his family's safe right now. So it's like, how can you concentrate on hockey when you don't even know your family's okay right now? And I think that's kind of the big issue. But again, there's worry, but that's what kind of happens. You speak up again, like it's a communist country, Russia, as we know. Again, I know we have some issues in America right now, but we're lucky that, again, it's, that we don't have that type of government. So it's unfortunate what's going on with them, but it sounds like it's false. Again, I don't think because it sounded all positive with the Rangers and NHL, like they're going to back them up. They're with them on this. So I think it's false. And they're just, I think they're just trying to get on, they're just trying to drag them down for something that is false, which, is unfortunate, but it just, a country like Russia, they don't care. They don't care. Because I think I've heard too, one of his grandparents, I think, was in prison for speaking out against the government. So like, who knows, it's unfortunate, but hopefully, hopefully he can get it settled again. Hopefully, whatever he has to do to get his family safe, he can do that. If it's bringing him to America, that's great. But, again, it's a scary situation, Again, when he goes back, because, I think they're in Turkey's family is. So it's again, he's kind of somewhat in danger too. They don't care who he is. Like it's kind of a scary situation, but actually the last thing too, because I heard from a couple of Rangers writers that, talked to like the hockey rays in Russia. And they said this story was not gaining like a ton of traction, which I think Russia wanted to gain some traction on this and make him look like a bad person, to make like Russia turn on, something like that. But again, hopefully, he can just get everything settled and his family's, safe and okay. And he can help in whatever way he has to, and definitely take it as long as you need.
Yeah. I hope these accusations are true. Hopefully he gets back to the Rangers and hope, because the Rangers have been playing pretty well lately, and hopefully he gets back to the Rangers and they make a playoff push.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets back, don't point to help him, but with the short season and all this, it's a tough division. Who knows? But be great if he can get everything settled. He could be back for the playoffs. But hopefully for him to take his time and come back whenever he's ready.
Absolutely. That's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For Jace Garcia, our producer, did a great job. For Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week previewing UConn's big game at Seton Hall and talking about any sports news that comes our way. Have a great weekend, everyone.
I love wiffle ball. No other way to explain it. Just something about the game, the feel of the grass, smacking that ball all over the field, making plays, diving head first, whatever it takes to get the job done. That's what wiffle ball means to me. Striking out grown men, watching their knees buckle on a called third strike. Sit out, bud. And then, of course, the home runs, the base hits, the big home runs at the big moments. That's a whiff of greatness. Join us all season long for the Joe Aguirre Story, a CMG podcast.